Hey guys, I hope that you guys are doing amazing wherever you are in the world. My name, as always, is Boom Shikha, and I welcome you to my channel. I welcome you to all of my videos. I hope that you guys have been learning from them and you've been enjoying the content and that you've been hopefully growing as a human being because of that. That's my ardent desire with these videos. In this one, I want to speak to you guys about how INFJs are a sponge when it comes to picking up accents, picking up languages, picking up different ways of speaking or writing. Recently, as I said, I think I've told you many times, recently I went to Tokyo, to Japan, for a vacation for my sister. It was her bucket list item, and she's turning 32, I believe, or 33, and it was a big thing. Actually, she's turning 33. She turned 33 in January, and so it was a big deal for her. She really wanted to go, so we went together. And it was interesting because I have noticed this about myself, and I know you guys have said this to me as well in comments, where sometimes you'll notice yourself taking on or mimicking the accents of the people around you or in front of you without even realizing that you're doing it. And I do this as well. A lot of people, when I'm around, and I spend a lot of time with British people. There are a lot of British people who are digital nomads. There are a lot of British people in Chiang Mai. There's a lot of British people, I guess, in my associating with me or around me, surrounding me. Actually, a lot of my best friends, a couple of my best friends are British, which is interesting to me now that I think about it. So anyways, I'm always surrounded by British people. And I noticed that as soon as I'm spending time with them or around them for a little bit, my accent starts to change. I start adopting their accent. I start adopting the way they say words. I start adopting the way they pronounce things, enunciate things, right? And so all of a sudden, I am this person who has a British accent. Now, it's not a very strong accent. It's not completely British because I also have lived in Canada, so there's a little bit of Canada in there. I've also, lived in the Middle East and in India, so obviously there's a little bit of Indian in there. And so all of these random accents mix together, but sometimes predominantly it comes across as British. And so I'll be sitting with someone and they'll say, oh, so you've spent time in London before or in England before. And I think to myself, yes, I have spent time there. I've been there, I've visited there, I've spent time with British people, but I haven't really lived there long enough to have an accent from that country. But a lot of people will imagine that I have a British accent. They'll actually tell me, oh, you've lived, and they'll ask me, you've lived there. Obviously you lived there. You have a British accent. Now, of course, I have a Canadian accent, and that makes sense as well. But it was interesting to me when I first moved to Canada. Obviously I was not very confident in speaking English. I had spoken a lot of English with my friends, but mostly we spoke Hindi, which is my mother tongue, and we spoke very little English, not that much so that I'd be comfortable speaking to a Canadian about it, right? But a few months into it, I started developing this Canadian accent, and a few months into it, maybe 2 or 3 months into it, people would tell me, so how long have you been living here? Or were you born here? You have a really good accent, or you speak English really well. And this is the kind of thing that happens to INFJs. It's, I think, part and parcel of the chameleon mode. It's the fact that, we can just take on whatever is surrounding us. So it is the way we kind of behave. We behave like chameleons. We take on the roles of people around us. We kind of take on the responsibilities of people around us. We take on the accents of people around us. We take on the words of verbiage. I don't know if that's a real word, of the people around us. So if someone's using a particular word a lot, then I'll start using it as well. Now, this is kind of difficult because if a person around me is swearing a lot and they're using the F word a lot, I don't like to swear. I hate swearing. I think it's the lowest form of communication. I think people use it as a way of removing or distracting people around them, or I just feel like it's just not the best way to communicate. I rather know beautiful words and use beautiful words rather than use a swear word, right? But I've noticed this about myself, that if I'm surrounded by people who swear a lot, and I have a couple of friends who just every second word is a swear word, if I am around them too much, I start swearing as well. Now, I have to really catch myself, and I really have to stop myself and say, okay, what are you doing? Why are you swearing? Why are you saying these words? You're not usually saying, you usually don't like saying these words, so what's going on with you? Now, as I've said before with the chameleon mode, it's automatic. A lot of times it's so automatic that we kind of go into it, and then we really have to pull ourselves back and say, okay, stop that. Don't do that to yourself. You're going automatically into it. You need to pull yourself back and pull yourself back into who you really truly want to be, right? Now, it's, of course, doesn't matter that much with accents. You know, you can copy an accent of a person, you can copy the accent of people around you or a country around you, and it's totally fine. One of the things that I've noticed living in Thailand is that a lot of people, a lot of Thai people will tell me that I have a really good Thai accent, which is the fact that when they speak Thai, they have a completely different way of saying things. There's tonal. It's a tonal language, so it has different tones to it, ups and downs, and it's not just a straight tone language. English is a straight tone language. There's no tones to it. Whereas I think Chinese, Cantonese or Mandarin, and Thai language is definitely tonal. And so it has a beautiful tone to it. It's like music, basically. You know, when they're speaking, their tone goes up and down depending on what the question is or what the answer is or where the word is. And so a lot of them have actually commented on the fact that I have a grasp on the tones. I actually am good at, if I do say a Thai word, that I say it well, that I pronounce it well, that I have the proper enunciation, I have the proper way of pronouncing the tones. Now, again, I'm not good at the tones themselves, but I'm good at mimicking the person who's in front of me. So if someone's saying a word to me, I'm really, really good at mimicking it exactly the way they've said it. And so my teacher, my Thai teacher, that's what she does. She just says a lot of different words in a lot of different ways. And then I'll just mimic her. I'll constantly be mimicking her. I'll constantly be thinking about it and saying those words over and over to myself, so I am saying it exactly the way that she's saying it. That's all it is. It's not anything special. I'm not good at languages really, but that's what I do with Japanese as well. I started learning Japanese not because I am good at languages, but because I love the language. I love languages in general. I think they're just so amazing. I've studied Spanish in the past because I just love the language. I'm studying Japanese right now because I just love the language. And so I've been studying it, but basically what I've been doing is I've been mimicking things. I've been watching animes. I've been watching a lot of different animes, and I've been kind of switching off the subtitles and just listening to the words and how they speak it, and then I'm mimicking it. That's all I do. I just mimic it. Wakarimashita, you know? I just say it over and over again until I feel like my tone and my way of saying the word is exactly the same as the person who's saying it in front of me. That's how I learn languages. That's how I think INFJs should learn languages. In terms of everything else, we might be visual, but I really think INFJs in terms of languages are tonal or auditory. They really need to listen to the words. They need to listen to the language being spoken. I can't read a language and study it. I don't like books when I'm studying languages. I want to hear the person speaking. And the more they speak, the more I'm able to mimic them. And I do a very good job of it. And I do learn it that way. I learn it much better that way than anything else. Now, why am I doing this video? I thought it was a fun topic. I know a couple of you guys have mentioned this to me that, you know, you'll be sitting with a person and they have an Australian accent or they have a British accent or a South African accent, and all of a sudden you're talking like them and they're thinking to themselves, are you making fun of me? Or are you actually from that country, or have you spent time in that country? And a lot of times I have been told that, are you making fun of my accent? I'm like, no way am I making fun of that. I really have to stop myself and say, oh no, I have a really easy tendency to mimic accents. I do it really automatically almost. I don't have to even think about it. And so I really have to catch myself and say, okay, remember how you actually speak. Now, as I've said, I've been surrounded by so many different cultures. I've moved around the world a lot. I've been surrounded with all these different languages and accents. So my words and my accent itself is a hodgepodge of a mix of all of this randomness. And so really, sometimes you'll catch me and say, oh yeah, you're from Canada, aren't you? But a lot of times people have no idea where I'm from, really. You know, I look Indian, I speak American. That's what people say. You speak American? Like, that's not... But anyways, so I speak American, and you know, I can speak a lot of random languages. So really, it's interesting how the INFJ-ness of chameleon mode can really change, you know, people's perspective of us. You know, they look at us and they have no idea who we are, where we're from, and what our true accent is like, because we can take on the accents of everyone around us. We take on the characteristics of everyone around us as well. Again, I hope that I was able to make sense. I hope I was able to explain myself properly. If you guys have any questions about this topic or any other topic that I've spoken about, let me know. I'm always here to answer your questions. And I shall see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.